Somewhere out there, right now, there is a person who didn't value you. They ignored your messages. They took your kindness for granted. They treated your loyalty like it was ordinary, like it would always be there, waiting. And maybe, late at night, a question still burns inside you. Will they ever realize what they lost? Here is the truth the Stoics discovered 2,000 years ago, a truth most people will never understand. You cannot make anyone regret losing you by chasing them. You cannot make them miss you by explaining, begging, or proving your worth. Regret is not created by your words. Regret is created by your absence, and by who you become in that absence. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the world, wrote in his private journal, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." In the next 20 minutes, I'm going to give you 9 silent attitudes, 9 stoic shifts in your mindset that quietly transform you into the person they never should have ignored, not to hurt them, not to prove a point, but because when you rise, their regret takes care of itself. Stay until number 9, because the last attitude is the one that changes everything. Let's begin. Attitude number 1. Let silence be your first answer. When someone disrespects you, ignores you, or discards you, your first instinct screams at you. Say something. Defend yourself. Make them understand. The Stoics would tell you, do the opposite. Go silent. Not the silence of weakness, not the silence of someone who has nothing to say, the silence of someone who has decided that this person no longer deserves access to their inner world. Epictetus was born a slave. He was mocked, beaten, and owned by another man. And yet he became one of the most respected philosophers in Rome. How? He understood one thing. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. When you react, when you argue, when you send that long emotional message, when you demand answers, you hand them proof that they still control your emotions. You show them that even in their absence, they live rent-free in your mind. But silence? Silence is unreadable. Silence is powerful. Silence forces them to sit alone with their own behavior, with no distraction, no drama, no reaction to blame. Think about it. When you argue with someone, they remember the argument. When you go silent, they remember everything they did. That is when regret begins. Not when you speak, but when you stop speaking. So the first attitude is this. When they didn't value your presence, don't give them your words. Withdraw quietly. No announcement, no final speech, no dramatic exit. Just absence. Because a person who leaves loudly can be dismissed as emotional, but a person who leaves silently, that silence echoes forever. Attitude number 2. Stop explaining yourself to people who already decided not to understand you. Here is a painful truth you need to accept today. Some people did not misunderstand you by accident. They misunderstood you on purpose, because seeing you clearly would force them to admit they treated you unfairly. And so you explained, again and again. You defended your intentions. You justified your feelings. You gave them essay after essay of your heart, hoping that this time they would finally see you. They never did, because they never wanted to. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." Read that again. He didn't say convince them you are good. He said, be good, and let your life do the talking. The Stoics divided the world into 2 categories, things within your control and things outside your control. Your character, your actions, your discipline, within your control. Their opinion of you? Completely outside your control. Every minute you spend explaining yourself to someone committed to misjudging you is a minute stolen from building the life that would make explanation unnecessary. Understand this. People don't respect explanations. People respect results. People respect standards. People respect the man or woman who says nothing, walks away, and comes back unrecognizable. So starting today, retire from the exhausting job of proving yourself. Your silence is not agreement. Your distance is not defeat. It is simply this. You have stopped performing for an audience that was never going to clap. And one day, when they finally understand who you were, you'll be too far ahead to hear their apology. Attitude number 3. Respond. Never react. There is a moment, a tiny, invisible moment, between what happens to you and what you do about it. Most people never notice this moment. They get provoked, and they explode. They get ignored, and they panic. They get hurt, and they lash out. The Stoics built their entire philosophy inside that one tiny moment. Viktor Frankl, who survived the concentration camps and studied the Stoics deeply, described it perfectly. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that space lies your power. In that space lies your freedom. When someone who didn't value you suddenly texts you at midnight, that space is where your dignity lives. When you see them moving on, laughing, acting as if you never existed, that space is where your peace is decided. React, and you lose. Respond, and you win. What's the difference? A reaction is instant, emotional, and controlled by them. A response is slow, deliberate, and controlled by you. Epictetus taught his students, "No man is free who is not master of himself." You want to know what truly haunts people who took you for granted? It's not your anger. Anger they can dismiss. Anger makes them feel important. What haunts them is your calm. Your calm tells them, "You no longer move me." Your composure tells them, "I have outgrown the version of me that needed you." So practice this daily. When provoked, breathe. When ignored, smile. When disrespected, pause, lower your voice, and choose your next move like a chess player, not a gambler. Because emotional control is not suppression, it is sovereignty. And a sovereign person, a person who cannot be provoked, rushed, or manipulated, becomes impossible to forget and impossible to replace. Attitude number 4. Make self-improvement your only revenge. Let me tell you what weak people do when they are not valued. They plot, they gossip, they stalk social media. They spend months designing the perfect comeback, the perfect insult, the perfect way to make the other person hurt. And in doing so, they hand over years of their own life to someone who didn't even value a single day of it. The Stoic does something entirely different. The Stoic disappears into the gym, into books, into work, into skill, into prayer, discipline, and purpose. The Stoic treats every rejection as fuel and every betrayal as tuition. Marcus Aurelius commanded the most powerful empire on earth, and yet every morning he trained his mind like a soldier trains his body. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. You cannot control the fact that they didn't value you. That chapter is written. It is done. But the next chapter is a blank page, and the pen is in your hand. So here is your assignment. And take it seriously. Take all of that pain, all of that anger, all of those sleepless nights and unanswered questions, and convert every gram of it into work. 1 hour of exercise instead of 1 hour of overthinking. 1 book finished instead of 1 argument replayed. 1 skill mastered instead of 1 message drafted and deleted. Do this for 6 months, and something remarkable happens. You stop wanting revenge, because you become so valuable, so busy, so alive, that their absence starts to feel like a favor. And here is the beautiful irony. The moment you stop trying to make them regret it is exactly the moment they start to. Because nothing, absolutely nothing, creates regret like watching someone you discarded turn into someone you can no longer reach. Attitude number 5. Detach from the outcome. Now we reach the attitude that separates philosophy from mere motivation. Detachment. Most people hear the word detachment and think it means becoming cold, heartless, shutting people out and feeling nothing. That is not detachment. That is just fear wearing a costume. Stoic detachment means something far more powerful. You give life your absolute best effort, your full love, your full work, your full presence, and then you release your grip on the result. You love people without needing to own them. You give loyalty without demanding a receipt. You show up fully, while accepting that some people will still walk away. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Think about how much of your suffering came not from what they did, but from what you expected them to do. You expected loyalty, so their betrayal crushed you. You expected gratitude, so their indifference broke you. The pain lived in the gap between your expectation and their reality. The Stoics called this the dichotomy of control. Their behavior, never yours to control. Their appreciation, never yours to demand. Their regret, never yours to engineer. Your effort, your character, your peace, always yours. So here is the shift. Stop gripping. Open your hands. Whoever wants to stay, let them stay. Whoever wants to leave, hold the door open with a calm heart. Not because you don't care, but because you refuse to build your happiness on ground you do not own. And watch what happens. Detachment makes you magnetic. People sense when you need nothing from them, and paradoxically, that is exactly when they begin to fear losing you. The one who is attached chases. The one who is detached attracts. Attitude number 6. Raise the price of your presence. Answer this question honestly. Why do people take some individuals for granted and treat others with careful respect? It is not luck, it is not charm, it is price. Not money, access. The price of reaching you. The price of your time, your energy, your attention, your forgiveness. When you reply instantly to people who take days to answer you, you lower your price. When you cancel your plans for people who wouldn't cross the street for you, you lower your price. When you forgive endlessly without changed behavior, you don't just lower your price, you announce that you have none. Epictetus said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." The person with few wants cannot be bribed, rushed, or taken for granted, because they are not starving for anyone's approval. So raise your price, quietly, without announcements. Let your time become scheduled. Let your yes become rare and your no become comfortable. Let people discover that disrespect now costs them something they cannot afford: access to you. This is not arrogance. Arrogance is demanding to be treated as more than you are. This is dignity, refusing to be treated as less than you are. And understand this clearly. Boundaries do not push the right people away. Boundaries are a filter. The people who only valued you because you were cheap will leave. Good. The people who value you for who you are will adjust. Better. They didn't value you at the old price. Fine. The price just went up, and some people will spend the rest of their lives realizing they lost you at a discount they will never see again. Attitude number 7. Never chase, become, and attract. There is an old truth that the Stoics understood long before modern psychology proved it. Whatever you chase, runs. Chase validation, and people withhold it. Chase attention, and people ration it. Chase a person who is walking away, and you teach them that walking away is how they keep power over you. Chasing doesn't just fail, chasing reverses attraction. Because every step you take towards someone who is retreating tells them one thing: you believe they are worth more than you. And people, consciously or not, accept the price tag you put on yourself. So what is the alternative? Do you become cold? Do you play games? Do you pretend not to care? No, games are for the insecure. The Stoic path is far simpler and far more brutal in its effectiveness. You stop chasing people and start chasing standards. Chase the standard of waking up early when nobody is watching. Chase the standard of keeping promises to yourself. Chase the standard of a strong body, a calm mind, an honest tongue, and a disciplined day. Marcus Aurelius put it in one devastating line: very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. When your fulfillment comes from within, something strange happens to how the world treats you. Your energy changes. Your walk changes. Your presence begins to carry weight. The quiet gravity of a person who is complete. And people feel it. The same people who ignored you begin to circle back. Curious, confused, drawn by a force they can't name. Because there is nothing more magnetic on this earth than a person who used to need you, and now needs nothing at all. Don't chase, become, and what is truly yours will find you at your new address. Attitude number 8. Build a life so full, their absence becomes invisible. Here is where most people go wrong after being undervalued. They remove the person, but they keep the empty space. They delete the number, block the profile, say all the right words, and then spend every evening staring at the hole in their life where that person used to be. The space stays empty, and empty spaces ache. The Stoics knew, you don't heal by subtraction alone. You heal by construction. Seneca, one of the wealthiest and busiest men in Rome, wrote letters constantly about one theme: how you spend your days is how you spend your life. He warned, it is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. Every hour you spend mourning someone who didn't value you is an hour donated, for free, to the very person who already took enough. So build, deliberately, aggressively. Fill your mornings with training. Fill your days with meaningful work. Fill your evenings with learning, with brotherhood, with family, with faith, with skill. Build routines so strong that loneliness can't find a gap to enter through. This is not about staying busy to avoid the pain. This is about becoming someone whose life is so genuinely full that the pain loses its throne. And here is what nobody tells you. A full life is the most visible form of recovery. You don't have to post about it. You don't have to announce it. People hear about it. Word travels. It always travels. And one day, the person who didn't value you will look at the life you built from the ruins they left behind. And they will understand, with perfect clarity, that they were not the foundation of your happiness. They were merely the delay. Attitude number 9. Be grateful it happened. And now, the final attitude. The one I promised would change everything. Are you ready? Be grateful they didn't value you. I know how that sounds, but stay with me, because this is the summit of Stoic thinking, the point where pain finally transforms into power. Marcus Aurelius wrote the words that would echo for 2,000 years. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. The Stoics believe that fate does not send you obstacles. Fate sends you raw material. Their neglect taught you self-reliance. Their absence introduced you to your own strength. Their rejection forced you to build the discipline, the boundaries, and the self-respect that comfort would have never demanded of you. Ask yourself honestly, would you have ever discovered who you really are if they had treated you well? Would you be watching this video? Would you be training your mind, guarding your peace, raising your standards, if their love had made you comfortable? Some people are sent into your life to stay. Others are sent as instructors. And the instructors often teach through pain. That is simply the tuition. So no bitterness, no hatred, no lifelong grudge that keeps them chained to your future. Bitterness means they still own a piece of you. Gratitude means the transaction is complete. You took the lesson, and you left the rest. Forgive them, not for their sake, but to evict them from your mind. Remember the lesson, not to reopen the wound, but to never pay the same tuition twice, and then walk forward, lighter than you have been in years. Because the ultimate regret you can create in another human being is not anger, it is not silence, it is not even success, it is this. They watch you thank the universe for their absence, and genuinely mean it. That is checkmate, and no one recovers from it. So let the 9 attitudes settle into your bones. Let silence be your first answer. Stop explaining yourself. Respond, never react. Make self-improvement your only revenge. Detach from the outcome. Raise the price of your presence. Never chase, become, and attract. Build a life so full their absence becomes invisible. And finally, be grateful it happened. The people who didn't value you made a judgment about your worth. The Stoics would say, their judgment was never your business. Your business is the person you become tomorrow morning at 5 a.m., when the alarm rings and nobody is watching. Rise quietly, build relentlessly, and let your growth be the only message you ever send them. If even one of these attitudes struck something deep in you, hit the like button. It tells us these lessons matter to you. Comment below. Which attitude do you need most right now? Number 1 to 9. I read every comment, and if you're serious about mastering your mind, subscribe and turn on notifications, because every week, we turn 2,000 years of Stoic wisdom into armor for modern life. Until next time, stay calm, stay disciplined, and become impossible to ignore.